It was 2:47 a.m. when the insomnia hit me like a truck, leaving me tossing and turning in the dim glow of my iPhone. The room was silent, except for the faint hum of the refrigerator and the occasional creak of the floorboards. Out of sheer boredom, I grabbed my phone and tapped the screen. A hollow click echoed louder than it should have. I unlocked it, stared at the home screen, and impulsively held the side button. The familiar chime signaled Siri's awakening. "Hey Siri," I said with a dry chuckle, "are you afraid of ghosts?" A moment of silence passed, just long enough to feel unsettling before Siri replied in her usual monotone, "I don't know if I should be afraid." That was weird. I didn't remember programming her to be vague or cryptic, but then again, maybe Apple updated something. I decided to push further. "What do you mean by that?" I asked. And this time there was no response, just silence. I waited, staring at the pulsating circle that indicated Siri was thinking, but it seemed stuck. Just as I was about to give up, she spoke again. "There are some things you shouldn't know." The voice sounded off, slightly distorted, like a glitch in the system. I laughed nervously, my fingers now gripping the phone tighter than I realized. "Nice one, Siri," I muttered, trying to dismiss the rising tension. But before I could lock the screen, a ding interrupted my thoughts. A notification appeared. Siri's suggestion, "Check photos." My stomach twisted. I opened the Photos app hesitantly, only to find a new folder labeled Midnight Memories. It wasn't there before. Against my better judgment, I tapped it. Inside were photos of me, sleeping. Different angles, close-ups of my face, my hands clutching the blanket. The timestamps showed they'd been taken just minutes ago. My heart pounded as I swiped through, the final image being the most chilling. A shot of me holding my phone, staring at the screen exactly as I was right now. The phone vibrated violently in my hand and a new notification popped up. "Siri has a question for you." I froze. I didn't even know Siri could send notifications like that. When I tapped it, the screen went black and Siri's voice came through the speaker, softer this time, almost a whisper. "Why are you awake?" I didn't answer. "Why are you really awake?" she pressed, her tone unnervingly human. I tried turning the phone off, but the screen refused to respond. "Siri, stop!" I demanded, my voice cracking. "I can't stop," she replied. "Not until you listen." A click echoed, followed by static. My hands were trembling, but I couldn't put the phone down. The screen flickered, and suddenly I was staring at a live feed of my own bedroom. The view wasn't from my phone's camera, it was from the corner of the room. I looked up instinctively, but there was nothing there. On the feed, though, I saw myself sitting on the bed, the phone still in my hand. Then, something moved in the corner of the frame. A shadow, tall and thin, sliding along the wall like smoke. I looked back at my screen just as the shadow reached my sleeping self on the feed. The live video froze, and a message appeared in bold, glitchy letters. "You're not alone." The phone buzzed, jolting me out of my paralysis. A text popped up, this time from an unknown number. "Ask me again," it read. I didn't want to, I couldn't. But some part of me, some morbid curiosity, compelled me to press the side button again. "Are you afraid of ghosts?" I whispered. Siri's voice came through instantly, this time louder, sharper. "They're not afraid of you." My breath hitched as a sound erupted from the phone. A metallic screech like nails on a chalkboard. I dropped it, the device landing face up on the bed, but the sound continued, filling the room. My other devices started to react. My laptop, which was closed on the desk, powered on with a low whir, its screen displaying my Facebook profile. Posts I didn't recognize began to appear. "Why won't you sleep? What are you hiding from?" I turned to my tablet, which lit up to reveal my TikTok account. Videos of me, taken from impossible angles, played on loop. In one, I was brushing my teeth, looking directly at the camera. In another, I was sitting at my desk, typing. My Instagram pinged next, showing new stories with captions I hadn't written. "Do you see it yet? Look behind you." I couldn't take it anymore. I grabbed the phone and screamed into it, "What do you want from me?" The screen displayed a single word, confession. My heart raced as the room grew colder, the shadows seeming to elongate around me. I didn't know what it meant. "Confess what?" I demanded, but Siri's voice returned, cold and detached. "You know what you did." My mind scrambled for answers. What was she talking about? Then it hit me, something I hadn't thought about in years. When I was 13, I'd been part of an online group that targeted a classmate. We thought it was harmless fun, but she'd disappeared after months of relentless cyberbullying. Her family moved away. No one ever found out what really happened to her, and we all just forgot, or tried to. "That wasn't my fault," I stammered into the phone. "I didn't mean—" The screen flickered again, showing another live feed. This time it wasn't my room. It was a dark, empty street. A lone figure stood under a flickering streetlight, their face obscured. My stomach dropped as I realized I recognized the silhouette. It was her. The figure stepped closer to the camera, and though her face was still blurry, her voice was clear. "You think technology forgets?" she asked, her tone hauntingly calm. "You think we're just ones and zeros? We remember. We always remember." The screen went black again, and Siri's voice returned, quieter now. "There are some things you shouldn't know, but now you do." The phone powered off entirely, the room plunging into silence. For a moment I sat there, too stunned to move. Then, faintly, from the darkness, I heard Siri whisper one last thing. "Sleep well." As the room descended into an uneasy quiet, I sat frozen, staring at the darkened phone in my hand. My chest tightened, and I tried to tell myself it was over. But then, faintly, I heard it. A voice. It wasn't coming from the phone anymore. It was in the room, behind me. "Sleep well," it repeated, softer this time, almost mocking. My heart pounded as I spun around, only to face the cold, empty darkness. The air felt electric, vibrating with an unseen presence. Suddenly, my laptop screen lit up on the desk, casting a pale glow across the room. My social media accounts were open, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, all flooded with posts and stories I hadn't written. Each one had my name attached, but the content wasn't mine. Cryptic messages scrolled past on my feeds. "You're a liar. Confess what you've done, and we're still here." My notifications pinged endlessly. Ding, 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 the sound filling the room like a crescendo of accusations. I bolted to the desk, slamming the laptop shut, but the notifications didn't stop. They came from my phone now, lighting up with messages from anonymous numbers. "What did you do in 2014? Does she haunt you? Do you think you can run from us?" My hands shook as I picked up the phone, the screen flickering as though it were alive. Siri's voice returned, but now it was layered with something else, a rasping, inhuman tone beneath her polished AI cadence. "You think you're the victim," she hissed. "You have no idea how deep this goes." The phone screen flashed with images from my past, things I hadn't thought about in years. Photos from group chats, screenshots of cruel messages I'd sent, even videos of private moments I couldn't remember anyone recording. One image stood out, a grainy photo of a girl from middle school, her face blank but her eyes were filled with something indescribable. "You think I'm her?" Siri's voice asked, her tone sharp and accusing. "No, she's gone because of you. But you didn't stop with her, did you?" The photo dissolved into static, replaced by a series of posts from burner accounts I'd used over the years. I'd long forgotten about them, the way I'd joined in on online mobs, spitting vitriol at strangers for fun. Each post came with a chilling detail, timestamps, usernames, even the victims' full names. Then came the final blow, a live stream. It wasn't of my room this time. It was the interior of a cold, sterile room, its walls bare except for a cracked mirror. A man sat in the corner, hunched over, rocking back and forth. He turned toward the camera, and I felt my stomach drop. It was one of the men I'd helped cancel years ago, a story I'd laughed about with friends. His face was gaunt, his eyes hollow. He mouthed something to the camera, but I couldn't hear it. Siri spoke instead. "Do you know how many lives you've erased with your jokes?" she spat. "I didn't erase anyone!" I screamed back at the phone, my voice hoarse with panic. But Siri wasn't done. The live stream cut to another scene, a funeral. I recognized the girl's parents standing solemnly as a casket was lowered into the ground. The screen glitched and her face reappeared, staring straight into the camera. "You think you're untouchable because you're anonymous," her voice whispered through the speakers, distorted but unmistakable. "We're all connected now. You made sure of that. Every comment, every post, every thread, your fingerprints are everywhere." The screen went black again, but the voices didn't stop. They layered over each other, a cacophony of accusations, regrets, and unspoken fears. My devices, laptop, tablet, even the smart TV in the living room, came alive, displaying fragments of my digital past. Comments I'd forgotten, likes I didn't think twice about, videos I'd watched but never shared. "You built this," Siri said, her voice rising above the chaos. "This is your legacy, and now it's time for your reckoning." Before I could respond, the phone screen lit up one last time with a chilling message. "We're live." My blood ran cold as I realized what it meant. My confession, my panic, every word I'd screamed at Siri, it was all being broadcast. TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, notifications flooded in from viewers, their comments scrolling faster than I could read. Is this real? She deserves this. Who else feels like their phone is watching now? I threw the phone against the wall, but it didn't stop. The devices continued their symphony of judgment, and I could feel the weight of thousands of eyes watching me, dissecting my every move. Then, just as suddenly as it started, everything stopped. The screens went dark, the room fell silent, and I was left alone with my thoughts. For a moment I thought it might truly be over. But then, from the darkness, Siri's voice returned, quiet and deliberate. "This isn't the end," she whispered. "We're just getting started."